In the beginning of the phone call, someone's telling me you might not buy my house. What?
Yeah.
Haven't heard that one before.
Yeah.
Everyone's dying to buy my house right now.
Guys, welcome to this video. I have a special guest here, Eric Cline.
Yeah.
Eric, thank you for sitting down and joining me on this interview. You know, it's exciting. I got to meet your business partner, Tony. We talked all about Dispo. Make sure you guys check out that video. Tony dropped some bombs on how to really excel at Dispo.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, Tony and Eric, they're crushing it. They're hitting these 6-figure month assignments, all the way up to $500,000 month assignments, right? Exciting,
Yeah,
really
crazy.
amazing. Yeah, and very quickly, you guys have built this business. It's funny, Tony was telling me a little bit of the growing pains of building your team, but it's just fascinating to see how well you guys are doing. And we're going to talk about, Eric, a little bit about the sales side on acquisition. And I want to start out by sharing something that Tony had said when we did our interview. He said, acquisitions, the sales process for acquisitions requires a little more empathy. And empathy is really having compassion for somebody's situation because you're dealing with distressed sellers, right?
Yeah.
And he said on Dispo, it requires a little bit more grit because now you're dealing with other investors, right? So it's a little bit different type of, both are sales. Dispo's a little bit different than acquisitions. And you, Eric, are a master at relating to a seller. And when I hear the stories about how you talk to sellers and the way that you try to win over a deal, what you're really good at doing is putting yourself in the seller's place and trying to understand their situation. So I want to have you share some ideas around this with everybody listening. First of all, how do you distinguish between qualifying and disqualifying a seller?
So that's a really good question, man. First and foremost, thank you for having me on.
You're welcome.
Honestly.
Thank you for being here.
Look up to you, man.
Appreciate that.
Honestly, I've been watching you for a while, and it's an honor to be on here with you. The difference between qualifying and disqualifying.
Yeah.
Something that I saw immediately coming into this industry. I come from a completely different industry. It was sales and marketing, but it was a different industry. And when I came into this industry, you hop on and you try to be new. I knew how to run a business.
Yeah.
I know a lot about sales, but I still didn't know the real estate game or the wholesaling. It was new to me. So when I came into the industry, I started popping on all these different channels of people teaching others how to treat these leads.
Yeah.
And what I found out real quick is they were trying to get on the phone and off the phone with them as fast as possible. So they would get on, and for them it was all about the money. Where they'd get on, hey, my name's Eric with ABC Home Buyers. We buy homes for cash, right?
Here's my offer.
These sellers have heard that for years now.
Yeah.
It's not new to them. And what I caught real quick was the only thing that's going to separate me from my competition is the experience I can put them through. So when I get on the phone with them, hey, John, this is Eric with TLC Home Buyers. I see that you're interested in selling your house. They're going to acknowledge it. Yeah, right. They understand why we're on the phone. I want to get them engaged immediately. I want to take control of the phone call. How do we do that? John, real quick, before we get into this, I want you to grab a pen and paper real quick. I'm going to have you jot all my information down. Why do I do that? One, I'm taking control of the phone call, and it's a different experience. I heard so many people in this industry, and they're even asking me here, they're like, you really give people your real name and your real company name, and you're giving them your real website? And I'm like, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get them to sell me probably the biggest asset they've ever had it attached to their name.
And when you say, Eric, take control, small commitments lead to big commitments.
Yes.
So the small commitment of getting out a piece of paper and writing something down, that's a small commitment. They're taking an action you ask them to do.
Yep.
And that hand raising of doing something small is going to lead them to doing more commitments.
Yeah.
Love that.
And I know we're trying to, like you asked a question, qualifying versus disqualifying, right? I'm trying to figure out the reason why Mrs. Smith continues to answer this phone.
Yeah.
And continues to have conversations with people like you and I, because she's not answering the phone. She knows.
And her house is still for sale.
And it's still for sale. It is. So I get them engaged, right? And then I set clear expectations of what they're going to get on this phone call with me. And by the end, I go in. Our approach is we're going to qualify your house. We don't buy every home. So by the end of the phone call, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to give you one of two things. I'm either going to tell you, yes, we can buy your home, and I'm going to have an offer for you, or I'm going to tell you your home doesn't qualify, and I'm going to give you the reason why. Why do I say that? They haven't heard it before. In the beginning of the phone call, someone's telling me you might not buy my house. What?
Yeah.
Haven't heard that one before.
Yeah.
Everyone's dying to buy my house right now. They get all these phone calls. So I go through the intro, then we get into fact find. Fact find is the reason why. And a lot of people, I believe in the industry, and this is going to a lot of the newcomers or even people that have been in this industry for a while that think price is everything. I always say when you ask how much do you want for your home, you don't know how many phone calls they've gotten that day. You don't know how many phone calls they've gotten that week. You don't know what mood they're in. You don't know what they were doing right before they picked the phone up. So their number, based on all those different circumstances, could be complete fluff. And a lot of times it is.
Yeah.
So
price can be a deceiver.
Yes.
It is not a true indication of their motivation.
No, it's a number.
Yeah.
And when you're basing the phone call off of that number, you're basing it off all the wrong things. So the numbers, let's ask them, let's get a temperature check, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go and just throw that lead away and move to the next one.
Yeah.
It's okay, I hear your number. My job is to see if your property is worth that.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to take the necessary time and ask the right questions to see if your number is realistic.
I love too, Eric, how you tell that seller that you may not be able to buy their house. What I like to say, look, I may not be the right buyer for you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let you know that.
Yep.
And that you would think that that would kind of like shoot yourself in the foot, but it builds so much respect with the seller because you're being honest.
Yeah.
And they're mapping now that you're being real with them because not all deals fit, obviously.
No.
So by being transparent about that, I think it's kind of like it's a win for you in the conversation where the seller's going to feel a little bit more trust.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more with you, man.
Love that.
And our presentation between all of us, the only thing we really have different between all of us is our presentation and the way, the experience we can give these people.
Yeah.
I said it like, we don't go into our conversations asking, we save the AC, the roof, and all that till the very, very end of a
It's
phone
irrelevant.
call. It doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter.
And the reason we don't ask those questions is as soon as you ask, what's the age of your roof? What's the age of your AC? It for them, it brings them back to the last person they talked to that probably had a bad experience. They didn't know how to talk to a seller. And they're like, this is just like that last guy that called me. So I want to save all that to the end when, we do a couple tricks, I believe, or tactics, whatever you want to call them, where we're putting them on hold. We're going back to the underwriters. We're putting them on mute. We do in our presentation, we do 2 3-minute holds. And we keep them on hold for 3 minutes. And it's after, you get done with your intro, your fact find, you talk about the home. Then we say, all right, I appreciate everything you've given me. I'm going to go ahead and put you on hold and go back to my underwriters and see what they're thinking.
We're going to crunch some numbers.
Yeah, well, they've been looking at your house. We've been on the phone for 25 minutes. They've been looking at the house for 15 minutes now.
Yeah.
Right? I don't come up with any numbers. That allows me to work. I get to get on your side of the table in the negotiation now. It's me and you against the guy in the back. If you've built that credibility and trust.
And tell me, Eric, about storytelling, because talking with you, storytelling with a seller is a very big part of your scripting and your sales process. How are you using stories to build rapport and relate to a seller? How are you doing that?
Great question. So we always ask the question, why do you want to sell? Right? Everyone asks the question.
Yeah.
But what most people do is they listen to it and move past it. So what are your main reasons for wanting to sell? I don't want to be a landlord. I want to get my equity out. The market's hot.
Yeah.
I need to downsize.
I inherited the home.
All these reasons. So what people do is they hear that and they move past it. So what we do in our pitch is, Mrs. Jones, you know what's crazy is the last 3 homes that I've bought were from people that said the same exact thing. They didn't want to be a landlord. The reason they didn't want to be a landlord, she had her granddaughter in the house. She felt disrespected by her granddaughter. She wasn't paying her what the home could get her. It was an investment property. You know, there was now a wedge being put in between a granddaughter and a grandmother. And she thought it was best for her just to get rid of the home. It would be easy for her to go to her granddaughter and say, you know what?
I sold it.
Someone's buying the house. You gotta move out.
Yeah.
But they're giving us 30 days, 60 days to do it.
Yeah.
But more importantly, what she was going to do with the money, for all these years, she's been carrying around $23,000 in credit card debt. And she told me the interest rate was 17.5%. So she was gonna get her granddaughter back, get on good terms with her, sell the house, get her equity, and she was gonna finally be debt-free for the first time in 4.5 years.
And you're telling this story to a tired landlord about another tired landlord where you did a deal and closed and helped the seller.
Yeah.
And why? What is that doing?
Well,
what bridge are you crossing?
So I'm letting them know, hey, this isn't the first time I've dealt with this.
Okay, so it's credibility.
Credibility.
Because you've dealt with this same experience before.
Yep. Credibility.
Yep.
Then after I say she got the equity out, she paid off $23,000. I'm attaching her the reason why she really wanted to sell the house.
The good feeling of getting that money. Yeah. The good feeling
and
of that.
Putting it to use. Right. And then I circle back after I tell that story. You know, your tonality and you use all of it, right? We're wordsmiths at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
sell the sizzle, not the steak. And I come back and I say, so tell me, Mrs. Seller, why don't you want to be a landlord?
Yeah.
So I heard you say it. You heard what I just said, which you can probably relate to something in that story. Then I come back and why don't you want to be a landlord? And then I just shut up.
So I see some other things there. I mean, you're showing that you can relate to her by using this story.
Yep.
You're showing the compassion and how you serve, right?
Yep.
So it feels so good to help this lady solve these problems with her granddaughter and all of this.
Yeah.
And so it's humanizing you because now you feel like a good person because you're helping this other example. All of these things are happening subconsciously, probably, right? Between that story and you and the seller you're talking to. And then you're not making any presumptions. Then you're saying, why do you want to sell this unwanted property?
Yeah.
I want to know. Maybe I can help you too, like I help them.
Right.
Is the message that sends.
So much more powerful than...
Super powerful.
I don't want to be a landlord. Okay, awesome. And what's the age of your roof?
Yeah.
It's like, who's going to get the deal?
Yeah.
That person or me?
Yeah.
Me, 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is like, let's say she says, man, I got this tenant and the tenant's not paying and they trashed the property out. That's a time when you can now, the empathy comes in when you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds terrible.
Yes.
What are you going to do about that? I can't believe that they would do that. You know what? Isn't it crazy how you have this investment property, you make a nice house for somebody and then they disrespect your property? That must be so hard. Tell me how hard that is.
Yes.
Right? And you're allowing that seller to experience with you the pain of their whatever they're going through. And isn't that what wins over? Like, isn't that what someone wants to do business with you because I feel like you care about my situation?
Of course. Yeah.
I mean,
at the end of the day,
that's the power of it.
Yes. At the end of that conversation, and this is what I tell everybody on our team or anybody that like goes through, I have a sales training, anyone that's on it, I said if you do everything right, the close or the negotiation should be the easiest part.
Yeah.
If you've done everything right from hello to offer, The close and negotiation should be the easiest part of that phone call because they're now negotiating with somebody they like, trust, and want to do business with. They're not negotiating with somebody that tried buying their home in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? You know?
I love that. And what's so amazing about this too is that tired landlord may decide to go with Eric, and your price could be $20,000, $30,000 lower than other cash offers they got, and they're going with you.
Yeah.
Over those others.
It happens.
Right? Isn't that insane?
Does it happen every time? No. But that happens.
But that shows how powerful the relationship is
Yeah.
versus the price. Mm-hmm. Right? We're so price driven, especially if you're like me, where I'm very analytical. I'm a data driven guy. I'm a numbers guy. And so it's easy for me to become robotic and to take the people side out of this business and to just, throw numbers around and, it's be sort of desensitized a bit.
Of course.
It takes a real concerted effort, I think, to stay on a level where you can have that type of compassion and really, and I don't think it's a tactic or a trick. You have to really honestly care about.
Couldn't agree more.
About people.
Yeah.
Because it'll come through. Like they'll map that. Maybe not always, but some people are going to map that. This is a sales tactic. Do they really mean what they're saying? So if you can bring in that sincerity and really honestly gain a lot of joy and satisfaction helping sellers win. I mean, I remember a seller I had where we bought his house. He was a hoarder. We helped him get rid of everything. We threw stuff away. We kept some stuff and put it in storage. We found an apartment for him. We did a rent back. We did all this thing. Mm-hmm. And when the whole deal was done, and we bought it at a huge discount.
Yeah.
And we did all this thing. He said to me, he said, Jerry, I just want to give you a hug. My wife and I want to take you out to dinner. You have changed our life.
Yeah.
And it was like amazing.
Of course.
And we made a bunch of money. We did an amazing deal, and that's how it should go.
Yeah.
You should win, and they should win.
Yeah.
That's how this business should work.
Couldn't agree more with you.
Love that. So, Eric, one last thing before we wrap up this interview. Thank you again.
Of course.
A lot of people that watch the channel, they're brand new in the business. Like they're working on that first deal. So I remember asking Tony this. He gave great advice on dispo, but on acquisitions, if you were to give somebody, like one piece of advice to go get that first deal, land that first contract, what would be your number one thing that you would tell somebody to do? If you could break it down into just one thing.
Oh, damn. To get your first deal. The first deal's not easy. It really isn't.
Yeah, that's the hardest one, right?
It's not easy. Yeah, it's the first domino you got to drop.
Yeah.
And
proof of concept.
Yep. So it would be.
And not everybody's like Tony with a 100% close ratio.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Tony, his very first call, landed the deal.
Yeah. So my biggest piece of advice is there's enough free information out there.
Yeah.
And take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. There's enough free information out there where you absolutely have enough information at your fingertips to get that first deal. And don't focus on anything outside of getting that lead and sales.
Yeah.
Wholesaling is not real estate.
No.
It is lead generation.
It's marketing.
It's marketing and sales.
Yeah.
So, you don't need to be reading real estate books right now.
Yeah.
You need to be reading sales books. And whether you're doing it over the phone or you're knocking doors, I've never knocked a door before. I've done 100% virtual. You're going to get told no. It's a part of the game. You are. Get over the rejection. It's nothing against you. Right? They're not calling you ugly or you're a horrible person. They just said no. And as cliche as this sounds, the more no's you get, the closer you are to that yes.
I love that.
And I tell everybody, and I got to say it on here with you, whoever's listening, if nobody told you they believed in you, I believe in you 100%. You're going to get this deal. Yeah. I promise you. Just don't give up. When you give up, that's when all bets are off.
Yeah. If you're listening right now and maybe you've been getting that rejection, I hope you really take to heart what Eric said. A no is that much closer to a yes. And a no, honestly, is not no. It's just no right now.
No right now.
It's just no right now. I had an experience where we call a seller, we go through the whole thing. They say no. 5 minutes later, they call back and they say, hey, is that number still good? We're like, yeah, what's going on? They're like, well, when I hung up the phone from you, the city called me, someone threw a rock through the window, they're giving me a citation. You know what? I'm just done. They went from unmotivated to very motivated in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Motivation changes weekly, changes daily, changes hourly. Never, and if you can change your mindset to no doesn't mean no, it just means no right now.
Yeah.
Then every time you get a no, you're just kind of like, oh, okay, well, right now it's no.
Time and circumstances.
We'll call you tomorrow,
Yeah.
We'll call you next week.
Time and circumstances.
And it just changes. All of a sudden, rejection is no longer rejection.
Yeah.
Like it rolls. It just rolls off you. So many times, the people I see that really struggle in this business, Eric, are the people that take rejection hard. They take it personally. It means something about them.
Yeah.
And when you make it mean something about you, every call is painful.
Yeah.
Like, don't make it painful. Make it fun.
Yep. Because it's not easy, man.
It's not easy.
Closing these deals
No.
consistently over an extended period of time, and I'm not talking 6 months.
Yeah.
If you're going to stay in this game for a long time,
Play the long game.
yeah. I mean, it's not easy doing
Yeah.
this. The stuff on social media is sexy.
Yeah.
But when the
It's
camera's
flashing checks.
it ain't sexy in between.
No, it's grit. It's work.
Yes.
Yeah. So just know that, and know that it's okay. Wherever you're at in the journey, I love Eric's advice. Just, you guys can do this.
Yes.
You can do it.
You can do it.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Really appreciate you. Let's put your info below in the description, if it's all right. People can
100%.
follow you and get to know you in your world. Again, it's exciting to see you and your partner Tony on Steve Trang's podcast and some of these other places where you guys are willing to share your journey and your experience. I'm so excited to see where you guys take your business and the things you're doing 6 months from now. So look forward to having you back on the channel and talking about more things. But thank you again. And guys, if you haven't, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.